Hi guys, the SUBOTECH Pathfinder 4-wheel drive 1/12 scale 2.4 GHz rock bouncer was sent to me by rcmoment.com, so thank you very much. Looks nice. What else does this box say? Reducer, that's funny. Change to the device, even funnier. We also got a rudder machine, or maybe a servo. Hydraulic shock absorbers. Whole metal bearings, or maybe ball bearings. Enough boring stuff, let's unbox this thing. First we have two accessory boxes. Wow, this thing is big for a 1/12 scale. No annoying zip ties, I like that. So here it is. The first impression is good. Yes, we should read the manual. Thank you very much. The suspension is not bad, but is there really oil inside? I don't think so. Now let's have a look at the transmitter. It's looking good, I think. It only requires 3 AA's. I like that. There's a steering dual rate, a steering trim, and a bind button. The transmitter is not too big, so we can drive the car one-handed. Very good. What's inside the other two boxes? Let's have a look. Wow, nothing. This is funny. And the next one, I think a manual. Yes, and some accessories. Let's have a closer look. A small Phillips screwdriver. And a USB charging lead with standard balance plug. So you can also use your hobby grade charger. And this is unique, a spare shock. I have never seen that before. It even feels like there is oil inside. What else is in this bag? A 4-way hex wrench for the wheel nuts and 2 spare body clips. We also got a flag which can be mounted on the top of the car. Now let's have a short look at the manual. It is in Chinese, German, English and Spanish, I think. The usual stuff. How to do this, how to do that. Some details about the receiver. How to insert the batteries, how to trim the steering. And exploded views. And how to charge the battery. The most important things in my eyes are the exploded views. Here you can see that the differentials are locked, no spider gears inside, but this is okay for a crawler. And we have a slipper clutch. The drive shafts are metal. And it looks like the shocks have seals which can hold oil. We also got a spare parts list, but will they be available? Now let's proceed with the interesting stuff, the car itself. I'm not sure, but I think these shocks don't have oil inside. The articulation is crazy, very good for a crawler. This is just extreme. The steering rod is very flexible, so it will not crack easily in a crash. The connecting rod is also very soft, but I can't see a servo saver. Here you can see the metal CVTs, very good. And yes, the diffs are locked, just like in the manual. We also got headlights. Now let's have a look at the bottom side. The prop shafts are plastic, but the CVTs are metal. Here we can see a 5-pin cable, so the steering servo will be a 5-pin type. I don't like that. Here you can see the motor, it seems to be a 390 size. Now let's remove the body clips and have a look below the hood. This is a nice touch, very handy. Okay, here we have the battery pack. Good solution. Looks like a cable is squeezed between the battery pack and the battery compartment. Here it is. Looks like a 2-cell 18650 lithium ion pack. It has 1500 mAh, 7.4 volt. It has a standard 2S balanced charging plug. Unfortunately, the ESC plug is proprietary. Now let's switch it on and see how it does. Here is the main switch. We got 2 headlights and 4 rooftop lights. Let's switch the transmitter on. Wow, big steering angle and fast servo. The center position can be adjusted easily. Looks like there is no dead zone around the center position. I like that. Well done, SUBOTECH. How about the steering dual rate? This is medium. Yes, no dead zone. The front toe is way out, but other than that, the steering is okay. Extremely fast steering. But will it also drive? Yes, it's a rock bouncer, so it's not very fast. But this brake is very aggressive. I don't like that. The packaging says it has a fast and a slow gear. But I can't see any gear shifting servo, so I believe this is done electrically. But how can we select the top speed? Maybe with the bind button? Yes, it looks like. The speed has a little bit changed. This is a bit disappointing. The packaging lets you believe that this thing has a 2-speed transmission. A typical Chinglish translation error. So far so good. It's not terribly impressive. But all in all, it's acceptable so far. The biggest concern so far is the extremely aggressive brakes. And yes, as always, we want to see more on the DIY Guy 999 channel. So let's take this thing apart. Ta-da! We are in. Let's unplug the rooftop lights. It's looking nice and clean inside. Good wire management. This is the receiver / ESC. It has a conformal coating. There is definitely no 2-speed transmission. The motor looks small, 390 size I think. And by the way, the shocks are adjustable. Here you can see the 5-pin connector of the steering servo. Now let's take the wheel off and see what's behind. Ball bearings. Standard 12mm hexes and beadlock rims. The tires are very soft. This is good for a crawler. Let's remove the hex adapter. What's behind? A standard locking pin. I can't see a bearing, so it looks like we have to remove more parts. Now we can see the ball bearing. It looks like the axles are made out of stainless steel. Now we want to have a look at the differential, so we have to remove more parts. That's looking good. Steel diffs. Very nice. We also want to have a look at the small bevel gear. So it looks like we have to disassemble even more. Now we can see how the steel axle fits inside the steel diff. We are still not quite in, so let's remove the back half of the diff housing. That's it. And here comes the diff. Looks robust. And yes, the small bevel gear is also made out of metal. Very nice. Now let's have a look inside the shocks. I still believe there is no oil inside. No, this thing just moves too fast for a dampened shock. Let's remove the top cap. No oil, not even a seal on the top side. This is really disappointing. The packaging says hydraulic shock absorbers. And the manual also shows a seal on the top side. So what about the bottom side? This is funny. Here we can find a seal. But why? It's completely useless as long as there is no seal on the top side. So this is a fail. But what about the spare shock? It feels different. And here it is. As you can see, it has a top seal. There is also oil inside. This is completely crazy. One spare shock with oil inside and with seals, and 4 oilless shocks without the top seal on the car. Just crazy. The shocks on the car even have play on the top side because of the missing seal. Anyway, now we want to have a look at the slipper clutch. A slipper clutch is essential in a crawler. Why? Because of the high gear ratio. So here it is. Looks like the coil spring is completely over tightened. And the spring will just scrape on the surface of the gear. I think I will replace this spring. Here you can see the removed locking nut and the spring. Behind the gear we can find 2 clutch discs. 1 pair on either side of the gear would have been the better design. Now let's put it back together. I'm applying a bit of silicone grease to hold the discs in place. Just like this. The discs will now stay in place. The spring contact area is also greased. The spring goes back in place. In order to make sure that the knot is not moving, I'm applying a bit of Loctite. The clutch spring is adjusted. Now it's time to connect the battery and to test the clutch. No, it doesn't work. It's way too stiff. Even though I didn't tension the spring as much as before. So I decided to use this ball bearing as a thrust bearing. The bore needs to be countersunk, so that the inner race of the ball bearing will not touch the gear. This M5 washer is mounted with the convex side ahead, so it will not touch the outer bearing race. These disc springs will replace the coil spring. The first one is mounted with the convex side ahead, the second one with the concave side, and so on. 4 disc springs in total are used. The result is a very short but still strong spring. A big M4 washer is now added. And a bit of Loctite will ensure that the locking nut will never move. It's only hand tight, but maybe the torque will already be good enough. Not quite. So let's tension the springs a bit more. Just a little bit. Looks better. Plenty of torque for crawling. The thrust bearing also works fine. Of course you should not do that during a long time period. Otherwise your clutch discs would wear down quickly. I think this was a success, but will it still be able to crawl? Looks good. We still have plenty of torque. So, what can I say so far? Overall, it's a nice crawler. Metal drive shafts, ball bearings. But this single oil-filled spare shock is just a joke. So please SUBOTECH, give us top seals for the remaining shocks. The articulation is crazy. I like that. I also like the precise steering and the locked metal diffs. The test drive will be part of the next video, so stay tuned. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Bye!